Hi there, welcome to the latest episode of my 10-minute moan. And the topic of this 10-minute moan is Humza's car crash of a speech at this weekend's SNP campaign conference. Now, the campaign conference is where they paint a picture of how they want to go at this up-and-coming general election, which some are predicting will be as late as November, but there was suggestions that it could be as early as May, although those do look a wee bit far-fetched at this point. So it'll be sometime between May and November is where the wise money would be. So the SNP have this conference where they talk about their campaign, and Humza takes to the stage and talks absolute bollocks. Now, the first thing he said was, it'll be a straight fight between SNP and the Tories. Now, the Tories have about 7 seats in Scotland. So I don't understand the logic in that terminology. What I do think he's done here is he's playing on the hatred of Tories and the inevitable Labour victory at the election unless something massive happens between now and then. And he's trying to play on this to urge people to go out and vote for SNP because there's a fear of Tories and there seems to be a movement to have change at Westminster, and he's trying to jump on top of this and gain votes due to it and try to convince people who are in safe Labour seats or seats that are SNP seats that are closely contested by Labour and don't even consider that, just it's all about us versus the Tories. A total lack of truth, to be honest with you. Just total bollocks. One interesting thing he said was, our values are the people of Scotland's values. Are they, aye? So, what you're trying to say is, your values mirror the general public in Scotland. Your values include protecting men who are dangerous to women. Your values are lie, deceit, and false claims. Your values are corruption and cover-up. Your values protect sexual predators, thieves, and those robbing the public purse. You have no values. You have absolutely no moral ground to suggest your values are Scotland's values. You are bereft of values and morals. Okay? So please don't ever stand on a stage again and tell anybody that you or your party's morals and values are in line with the Scottish public. The Scottish public are far, far better than you ever give them credit for. And we should see that in the next election. You claim to have moral leadership. Your 12 months of leadership so far show no such signs. Nothing moral about what you've done as a leader of the SNP and in turn the First Minister of Scotland. You also say that SNP will win the general election in Scotland. Well, there is no general election in Scotland. The general election is for the United Kingdom. However, if you wish to make that claim against winning more seats, more Scottish seats in the general election for the United Kingdom, then fair play. But you are wrong. How do you justify, how do you measure winning the Scottish election, general election in Scotland, as you say? Does that mean the most seats? Because that will not happen. I don't think any party will win an overall majority of the seats in Scotland in the next UK general election. And I doubt your party will win anywhere near half the seats. And I hope your party don't even win the most seats in the next UK general election. You also came up with this quite, try to pick my words safely here, so I'm not accused again of being Islamophobic. But the words you used mirrored another saying that's been quite topical recently. But your claim was, from the Highlands to the borders, let's rid our country of Tories. It sounds very similar to a similar worded catchphrase that's became popular amongst the weekend warriors who take to their streets calling for ceasefires and etc. in a country far off. And you added to that your time is up. The SNP is coming for you. These words are full of hatred. These words are threats. But were we to read that it is Tories, he then came on to add to that the, I want to carefully get my words. You want to rid yourself of 7 spineless Scottish Tory MPs, and our work does not stop there. We need to reject not just Tory MPs, but Tory policy, Tory ideas, and Tory values, whether they're delivered by someone in a blue or a red rosette. So what you're saying is, to tie together to your previous comment of the SNP's coming for you and using these from Highlands to the borders, let's rid our country of Tories, you then go on to define Tories as not just the Conservative Party. You then tie in the Labour Party to this as well. So what you're actually saying is, you want every single theory that's close to Tory or Labour now to get rid of it in Scotland, because their time is up. This is pretty dangerous rhetoric you're going down now. When you talk about other people, and not just one party now, you've extended that to both the major parties in the United Kingdom, that their values and ideology should somehow be banished from Scotland. What are these people to do? When you're not talking about MPs now, you're talking about anybody with these ideas and values. And I'll be quite honest with you, although I'm no fan of any particular political party and never have been, I do take some values from both of those parties, and I don't as much match their values, they just happen to match mine in some instances, like hard work, looking after each other. But these things have to be banished from the Scotland that you want. And I was talking to Silver Fox the other day there. We recorded a wee 20-30 minutes together, and he said something that stuck in my mind. He said, my economics are probably Tory to the right of centre, and my compassion for humans is probably slightly to the left of centre. And I thought that was a good way of putting things, and a sort of normalised person would think that way. But we have to banish these from Scotland now, because you say so. You go on about, it's about protecting our NHS from the threat of privatisation, when the SNP are already charging Scottish people for some services, some health services, through our chemists. Already discussed it in a previous video, that there are services normally provided by the NHS which are now finding their way into private chemists, where people want these services, they have to go and pay £40 to £50 for. So do not dare talk of anybody else privatising any NHS when you've already done so. You've already started. The biggest problem with privatisation is the cost to the end user, and you are already charging the end user for services. You go on about our massive renewables potential will lead to the next economic boom. Seriously? Are you totally unaware that your predecessor pawned 90% of our wind turbine, offshore wind turbine leases for the grand total of £750 million? They are already pawned. I don't know how you're going to have any economical boom when the income from them is already pawned. The auction that your party held to sell off and pawn these leases had a maximum bidding per square metre. Your economical dreams are in tatters. There is no renewable energy to create any economical boom because you have already pawned it. You also say, I say to the Tories and Labour, there is no justice in throwing thousands of Scottish workers in the scrap heap to fund nuclear power stations in England. You are already throwing thousands, if not tens of thousands, of Scottish jobs in the scrap heap because you've now bent to your Green Party coalition and talk negatively about oil. Oil and gas have no longer to exist in your dreamland of Scotland. Never mind a nuclear power station. If your rhetoric had not been such against an actually clean alternative of nuclear power stations, then possibly we could have built one in Scotland. So do not dare talk to me or anybody about endangering thousands when you are endangering tens of thousands of jobs. And you've totally rebuffed anybody with half a brain of trying to invest anything in nuclear energy in Scotland because of your rhetoric against it. One thing which I thought was odd that you didn't comment, and that was what's to happen after this election. Your predecessor naively decided about 2 years ago that the next general election was to be a de facto referendum, whereby if the Scottish voters in a Westminster general election voted 50% plus one vote in favour of independence parties, that would give you the mandate for an independence referendum. You have never won 50% plus a vote at any general election ever in the life of the Scottish National Party. So, the last we heard you going on about it was you changed the goalpost, moved the goalpost, changed the rules. And you decided to suggest that if the SNP won the majority of the seats at the next general election in Westminster, that would give your party a mandate for a second referendum on independence. I think you can read polls. You can ignore the ones that you pay £5 million to. That's Ipsos. They're, funnily enough, often got you guys in a higher position than anybody else. So unless you're stupid enough to believe those, you look at any of the normal polls that are about recently, the voting for the next general election, if it was called today, would be almost dead heat between you and Labour. That wouldn't give you the majority of the seats because some of the seats would go obviously to Tories and some to Lib Dems. So it would have been possible if a general election was held today for you to even get that easier mandate, because it's easier to get the majority of seats than it is to get the majority of votes. So stop talking nonsense to the Scottish electorate and stop telling us lies. We're sick of it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscription if you're already not, and please add your comments below. I love reading the comments and getting feedback from others. But the most important of all, unless you're Humza Yousaf, anybody that sat and listened to his nonsense at his campaign conference, or anybody that's a member of the cult, for everybody else, have a great day. Cheery bye now.